Talking sports and teams with Reams. You, what's up, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of Talking Sports and Teams with Reams. I'm your host, Sean Reams, and on today's show, I have a guest who knows a little bit about sports himself. He's actually the director of talent production for ESPN. His name is Kareem White. How you doing today, Kareem?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, Sean. It's a pleasure.
No, thank you for joining me on today's show for this interview. So I'm gonna dive right into it because I have so many questions, and I know you're a busy man. Tomorrow's Monday, so we're gonna dive right into it. First thing I want to know, and I'm sure whoever's listening to the show right now would like to know: did you play any sports growing up?
Yes, I did. Football, basketball, and baseball. But I also played tennis, and I was also really good at ping pong. Definitely during my childhood.
Where did you work before ESPN?
Worked with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Did public relations full time, and did some community relations on the side, still within the organization from '05 to '07.
Your job description when you were in the public relations for Jacksonville Jaguars. What was that job description? What did you do? What technically did you have to do?
So doing PR for the Jags, you assisted with writing the press releases. You help gather all the statistical information for the different press releases and writing the game notes. Also working with the game day staff with passing out statistics, and then primarily on game day, either I did sideline duty or I worked in the press box with the rest of the PR staff. So in the post game, we either did quotes. We also help arrange all the locker room interviews with the different players, and sometimes I was responsible for a few specific players.
And so you made the jump. So from Jacksonville, you then went on to ESPN.
Yes, that's correct.
What do you guys look for when you evaluated talent?
As far as for me, the things that I see that I like that stick out in on air talent would be like good camera presence, really good information, good writing, good storytelling, sports knowledge. If you could, if you'd be able to tell it like, hey, if the person's really knowledgeable about their craft.
Your time you spent with Jacksonville, how do you apply that to your position now that you're at ESPN as director of talent production?
Strangely enough, with me being on the other side working in PR, for a team and working inside of the NFL, I work with a lot of those guys who I came up in the industry with now, with me being a director of talent. We work with a bunch of agents, publicists, PR from different teams and leagues. And so now I'm just on the other side. I used to be on the team PR side, and now I'm on the other side, reaching out to some people who have now become my lifelong friends, who we kind of came up in the industry together. So it was very much so a full circle moment.
Was it ever in your plans to go to ESPN where you were spending your time and working at Jacksonville?
Yeah, if you had probably asked me right after college or while I was in college, if I would eventually end up at ESPN, I probably would have said yes, but just in a different capacity. Like a person who I always admired seeing on television was Stuart Scott, and to see Stuart, really as a representation of what Black sportscasters look like, and he's truly a trailblazer. When looking at Stuart, he wore his hair like mine. He sounded like me, looked like me.
Rest in peace to Stuart Scott. He was a
Yeah,
legend to
yeah,
me as well.
yeah. Rest well, Stu. And he was a trailblazer for a lot of journalists, and not just Black journalists, but just for a lot of journalists in the sports industry, period, because he was an innovator. He brought a different lingo and just brought a completely different style to sports journalism landscape.
I see you from Florida. I did my own little research, and I also see you went to FAMU, which is a HBCU, historically Black college. For those who don't know, um, right. Well, after that, you went to Florida State. Was that in the plan?
Going to Florida State initially wasn't. It was the initial plan was to really go out in the work world and to pursue the initial goal of being on air, working in sports. But as I started doing it a little more, I realized that I like being behind the scenes more than I did in front of the camera. And so one of my good friends told me about the master's program at Florida State, and it piqued my interest. And I went and applied, and definitely enjoyed doing that program, and got opened up to a bunch of different options that I just didn't know existed as far as where my career could go.
So who would you say was your biggest supporter growing up as you was having your journey going on to be where you are today?
I definitely wanted to, definitely my mother and my grandmother. My grandmother, because she saw at an early age that I was passionate about doing sports, and she just wanted to, completely support me. And my mom, because my mom was always my biggest cheerleader throughout the journey. From the time I expressed any kind of desire, she was the first person to to get me Sports Illustrated subscriptions at an early age, so I could read about sports and watch sports. Just as a kid, because she knew I was passionate about it. So she supported my passion and supported my dreams.
Do you ever sit back sometimes and think like, wow, like you're right there in the thick of things. Like, do you ever just sit back and think like and soak in how unreal it is, and how does that feel? How does that make you feel when you sit back and think about what you accomplished?
It's truly a blessing, and it's never lost on me. Um, it's one of those things that I was fortunate and blessed enough to pursue my dreams and have job satisfaction in the process. Which sometimes I know just not everyone has an opportunity to do so. And it's taken me to a lot of different places that I may have not even to imagined in my wildest dreams.
You you come a long way. You already worked in the NFL. You already worked at ESPN. I would imagine at this point you were, the sky was seen to be the limit. Do you have any goals?
Short-term goals would be to continue to try to grow my career as much as possible. Um, yeah, to try to grow my career as much as possible, and continue to hold the door open, and try to help afford opportunities to people who just may have not, been afforded those opportunities. Long term would be just to be in a position, just to have more influence, and continue to, just to be a change agent, in the sports and TV industry.
What would you say to someone who is looking to get into the sports journalist business, or just the sports entertainment world as a whole?
I would strongly suggest that they network as much as possible. Always give it 100%, and work as hard as you possibly can, because you never know who may be watching, and truly embrace the journey, and continue to stay the course and run your race, and not necessarily be concerned about anyone else's, because I'll be the first and probably not the last to tell anyone that, like, comparison is the thief of joy, and to focus on really your own journey, but to definitely network as much as you possibly can, because as it was told to me, it's not about what you know, it's not even about who you know, but it's about who knows you.
Mr. Kareem White, director of talent production at ESPN. He took the time out to do this interview with me, and I highly appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Everyone out there, you do the same as well. My name is Sean Reams. Talk to you next time. I'm talking sports and teams with Reams. Yeah.